Hi, we are going to talk about some figurative language. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen with you. So you guys also have access to this PowerPoint. So you can, well, maybe if I can open it. So you guys will be able to go back and look at this PowerPoint later for reference. There we go. Now, I'm sure you guys have talked about figurative language a lot, in previous years. So some of this will be a review. I think some of these terms will be new to you. So if it's a review, just kind of listen in and, you can fast forward through that part, but some of the terms towards the end, I'm sure you haven't heard of. Okay, so types of language. There's literal and figurative. So literal language is explicit, obvious, out in the open, and plainly stated. So you basically say exactly what you mean. It's a major part of nonfiction text. So a lot of informational texts have literal language, but obviously it can also be found in fiction. Figurative language then infers or suggests things rather than stating them. So it creates a picture in your mind, which is imagery, and it gives a text richness and depth. This is found in fiction writing and autobiographies mostly, but it can be found in nonfiction as well. So here's literal versus figurative again. Literally, words are function exactly as defined. So the car is blue. He caught the football. You're just simply stating facts. However, figurative, you have to sort of figure out what it means. I've got your back. Now, literally, I've got your back. If you look at that picture in the lower right-hand corner, that's what it means literally. But figuratively, it means, hey, I'm here for you. Another example is you're a doll. Obviously, it doesn't mean that you are literally a doll baby, but it means like, oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. You're a doll. So that's figuratively what it means. A lot of people that are learning English struggle with figurative language because when they translate it, I've got your back, they don't have that same saying from where they're from. So I've got your back might sound a little weird to them. So a simple explanation, whenever you describe something by comparing it with something else, you're using figurative language. Why? Well, it definitely makes reading more interesting, and it's more entertaining to talk about and listen to. So instead of just, oh, it's raining outside, you would say, it's raining cats and dogs outside. It just sort of makes it more interesting to listen to and to talk to people. Raining cats and dogs. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is metaphors. And I know that that's something that you guys go over in 4th grade, so this is just a quick review. So a metaphor compares two things, but it states that one thing is another thing. So my baby sister is a doll. My brother is a rat. She is a pig. So I want you to notice here that we're not saying that your sister is like a pig. You are stating that one thing is another thing. So you're trying to figure out what they're comparing it to. So this is still a comparison, even though they're saying that someone is something. It's still a comparison of two things. For the first one, they're comparing their baby sister to a doll. The second one, their brother to a rat, and so forth. Can you guys come up with any examples of a metaphor? Take a second, you can pause the video and jot a few ideas down. So this is something that you guys can also do in your journal on a piece of paper, whatever you have in front of you. So write a me metaphor. Write a poem about yourself. It does not have to rhyme, but have it paint a picture of you. 5 lines long. The first line is one word, me. The last line is your name. So you only have to write the second, third, and fourth lines, and they all need to be metaphors describing you. So here's an example. Me. I am a cloud floating in a hot air balloon. I am a flower growing toward the sun. I am a book sharing what I know. Mary, even though my name's not Mary. So pause the video, take a minute to write your own me metaphor. So one of the assignments that you guys are going to be doing is you're going to be creating a slideshow of your own that has each slide will have a separate figurative language device on it. So this is what yours will look like. You have the title at the top, which in this case is metaphor. Then you come up with a metaphor of your own. I wrote, she is a pig. And then you have to write the meaning. She eats a lot or is messy. Then, as you can tell, I have some awesome Photoshop abilities. So you have to illustrate your slide in some way. So start with metaphor. All right, next we're moving on to simile, which is very similar to metaphor. There's just one difference. So you're also comparing two things with the simile, only you're using the word like or as, and that's what makes it different from a metaphor. So some examples of similes: she was as pretty as a butterfly. He was as angry as a hornet. Her hair was golden like the sun. So we're still comparing two things. She to the butterfly, he to the hornet, hair to the sun. However, in a simile, it has the word either like in the comparison or as. And that's the only difference. So the same thing that you guys did with a metaphor, I want you to do the same thing with the me simile. The same setup. So an example, me. I am as bright as the sunshine. I am as energetic as the Energizer Bunny. I am like a kid in a candy store because I am so happy. Miss Hupp. So pause your video and go ahead and write your own me simile. Here is an example of a simile slide that will be included in your slideshow. So your first slide is metaphor, your second is simile. Her eyes are as beautiful as sparkling diamonds, meaning her eyes were beautiful. Again, notice my beautiful Photoshop there. I just went to clip art and was able to put those in there. So before we move on, see if you can answer these questions. What is the difference between a simile and metaphor? Give an example of a simile, and give an example of a metaphor. All right, hyperbole. This should be, it's new to 5th graders, but I think Mrs. Houston went over it with you guys last year. So a hyperbole is an obvious or extreme exaggeration. So why use one for dramatic effect, to grab the reader's attention, to be funny? They can also be used to describe a person's emotions or feelings. I think hyperboles are really funny because I always think of somebody being extremely dramatic. And I will give you some examples to show what I mean. So that took us 5 years to get our classroom organized. An extreme exaggeration. I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. My brother has every single baseball card in the entire world. The baby cried so loud you could hear her in Africa. Hyperboles are the greatest things ever. So those are all extreme exaggerations, as you can tell. All right, so you can pause your video again and finish these sentences to make your own hyperbole. The room was so crowded, ... He was so angry, ... And my bedroom was so cold, ... And then a bonus is to write your own at the end. Hopefully you guys are doing this and getting some good practice in. Here's my slide for a hyperbole. The mother brought an army of kids with her to the grocery store, meaning she had a lot of kids. All right, let's pretend that we're about to take a test right now. Let's see if you can pass. The following statement is A. Miss Hub's class is the best class in the entire world. Simile, metaphor, hyperbole. His eyes were as blue as the ocean. Is that one a simile, metaphor, or hyperbole? All right, this is the last one for this section, and it's personification. It's giving non-human objects human qualities, feelings, actions, or characteristics. And I know that sounds kind of random, but we honestly do this a lot more than you would think. So let's look at some examples. The sun smiled down on my shoulders. Now we know that the sun, what this means, that the sun was shining down, but they wrote smiled down. So we gave a human-like characteristic, meaning smiling, to the sun. The angry clouds cried down on the earth. Cried being the personification being used. The television talked all night long. The tall flowers danced in the breeze. So those are all examples of how we are giving non-living things a human-like characteristic. So that is personification. All right, pause your video. Take a minute to write down 2 examples of personification about something in your whatever room you're in right now. So go ahead and pause and do that. This, I'm going to let you guys play on your own. So if you open this, you can click on that link, and it's only comparing metaphor, simile, hyperbole, and personification. It's a fun little game. And lastly, here is my personification slide that you guys will do one similar for your project. Lightning danced across the sky, meaning there was a lot of lightning striking. Don't hate on my awesome Photoshop here. I know you can't even tell, but yes, I did make that. All right. Lastly, we have a quick review. My baby sister is a doll. Number 2, the words jumped off the page. Number 3, she was as tall as a giraffe on stilts. And number 4, I have been waiting in line for 20 years. So you can write those down, pause the video if you need to, and we'll save that for tomorrow. So hopefully that helps you understand the first 4 types of figurative language that we're talking about.